which is Wednesday, May 13th. Let's go ahead and dive right in. What we always like to do before we dive in, give a quick shout out to some of our snipers in the chat. Tonight, I'm gonna give a shout out to our boy Heck. He made a nice snipe, almost 20% on Envis here on a day trade towards the end of the day, and just taking the meat of the move like we like to do, trading it from that dollar break to 119. So Heck, good stuff, man, and let's keep trading it one trade at a time, man. He's one of our newer snipers, so welcome, welcome. And like we said, just one trade at a time, just keep adding those up. Good stuff, man. That'll perfectly segment us to our watch list tonight, because as I scroll down a little bit in the chat, we're gonna start our watch list off with a position that we are in overnight. So let me find that buy alert. It's actually a short alert. We shorted a stock going into power hour today. We shorted 2,000 shares of WTRH at 333, looking for it to create its first red day going into power hour. Here's the chart to our right here, and it actually did make that red day today. So it played out pretty nice. So let's go ahead and dive into the watch list and let's talk about what we were looking at for this play and then what other stocks we're looking at for tomorrow. So here's our watch list here on the left. Then we got TD Ameritrade's Thinkorswim on the right. I'm going to start with the short that we're in overnight, our position that we're in overnight. We are short 2K shares, 2,000 shares of WTRH at 333, and we're looking for a dip to sell into tomorrow. WTRH came straight from the watch list yesterday as we've been eyeing this one down since it started its run. Okay, they came out with earnings back here at 5.8, and they made a nice run. They had a nice little breakout over here and created a nice first green day, a nice second green day, but then this third green day is when we really were eyeing it down. This morning it got a nice push, so it showed that it could continue, but once we saw that it pushed all the way to 389, we figured one, that's past what we thought it could get to, and two, where is the weakness gonna start? Before the breakout, it was at the 150s. So when is this thing finally going to get its pullback? Let me dive into the 1 day, 1 minute, and I'll show you why we got into this play. Let's break it down. So here is the day here of WTRH, a wild day. It gets a push in the morning and ends up going all the way up to 389. We stayed patient because as you can see, this one has been choppy throughout its run. On the breakdown here, we really want to see it come under VWAP. So when it cracked VWAP and it got this big dip, then we really started to eye it down. And really what we did is we shorted it after it bounced on this big dip from 350 to 311. We end up shorting it in this mix here at 333 using the VWAP as cut. This could actually look like, a tough short being so high off the top. But really, we didn't want to be early in this. It pays to have patience, and that's exactly what happened here. Because look, the downside is still great. Or if you're short, the upside is still great here as this thing ended up tumbling in power hour like we said. We anticipated that first red, ended up cracking the low of day and made a first red in power hour and creeping all the way to 270. We think that this thing could still have some downside because this is technically a first red day here. So we're holding our position overnight and we're looking for one more dip tomorrow. We think it could happen in the morning, but we'll really be watching. We're going to still use this area up here in the 350s as our cut. We're just looking for one more dip in WTRH. Next stock on our list is IMLFF. This is an OTC Canadian cannabis stock that we've been watching for a while, and they came out with patent news today and held a 35% gain into close, so we're keeping an eye on it. We were actually really thinking about taking this one overnight. Let me dive into the 1 day, 1 minute so you can see, but it never came down to our spot. It was kind of choppy throughout the day after its nice spike. It had a 40% morning spike, so super nice here after they came out with that patent news. And then it created support above VWAP throughout the day, so we liked it, but we were trying to get in down here at the 23s. We never got filled, as you can see with this choppiness. We wanted the 23 just to minimize our risk, because you can see VWAP's down here. You really don't want to chase up the choppy. So now that we're not in overnight, we still like that it is holding 35% into the close. So if this one gets a panic in the morning, if they see sellers in the morning and people just start to panic off because it was up so much today, we're gonna eye this one down for a potential panic dip buy. It has some long-term support around the 18s, so we'll be looking in that area. If it gets to that area, that would be ideal. But what we wanna see here, guys, with those morning panics is just quick panics with good volume. You don't wanna see a choppy move down. You wanna see a nice, quick, smooth, consecutive red candles with good volume. So that way, when you do get that pop, it actually has good upside, and these ones actually work out for nice quick flips. We've had a couple good OTC panic dip buys recently, so check out our YouTube, we have some on there. The next one is a listed overextended stock here, Mark, and this one is on a wild run up as well, just like WTRH, but this one is even more wild because it really has no news. This is just spiking wild from 64 just 4 trading days ago to top out at 268 today. It had a huge dip today off of 268, so congrats shorts who were able to capitalize on this. We missed it in the morning, had a nice morning spike, and then really just cracked throughout the day as it's its 4th green. It was trying its 4th green day and having a nice spike on its 4th green day. So after it cracked, it ended up having huge downside. But now that it's down so much, we're actually looking now for a panic dip buy. Look at the range that this thing has throughout the day. So wild movement, you gotta love the volatility, going from 68 to 268 in 4 days. So if this one does get a panic, I'm not really interested in a gradual dip here. We wanna see a panic. If it doesn't have it in the morning, we're still gonna watch it because this one is holding gains still. It's still up a good amount. Even though it's down a good amount from 268, in the long term, it's still up a bunch. So we still think a big panic could come. So we're just gonna keep our eye here on Mark. And last but not least, guys, we always like to have one wildcard pick of the night. And our wildcard pick tonight is VTIQ. This one is at its all-time high. And we actually have this one on the short radar. Okay, so interesting enough, even though it's all-time high. The reason that we have it on the short radar is because, as you can see, this broke out of its all-time highs at 1635 3 trading days ago. Since then, it has had 2 huge trading days. The run-up started 5 trading days ago in the 13th, so it's up 100%. This stock VTIQ doesn't have any significant news. The only thing that it's got going for it, it's got this wild volume, and it is at an all-time high. Now, since it's at that all-time high, we're in no rush to short this thing. We want to actually see this thing squeeze and keep squeezing, because the higher that it goes, the better the downside will be. There's really no roof on it right now. As we dive into the 1 day, 1 minute, it's actually even continuing after hours. You can see, really no roof. It's been kind of grinding throughout its days, so we really want to see a squeeze, where it really just squeezes a whole bunch of shorts and has a nasty push, and we'll be really eyeing that to short into. So again, not in a rush here. The higher it goes, the better. That's why this one is a wild card pick of the night. We're just gonna keep an eye on it and really watch for it to crack and get that downside. All right, guys, a nice, sweet, and short list. Let's check out what Waiters Holding, WTRH, has got for us tomorrow morning. Everybody in the chat, keep it up. We will see you guys on the webinar tomorrow night. Much love, my snipers. Talk to you guys tomorrow.